Well, greetings and welcome to another edition of Town Square Video. I'm John Hardiman, Public Relations Director for the New Jersey Catholic Conference. Today we have with us Dr. Kimberly Henkel, founder and executive director of Springs of Love, a ministry created to encourage, educate, and equip Catholics to discern and live out the call to foster and adopt while creating communities of support to help cultivate a culture of foster care and adoption in our parishes. Now, before we get started, if you haven't seen it, we posted a video last month about Springs in the Desert, a ministry co-founded by Kimberly and Ann Kashut, who serves as executive director of the organization. If you haven't seen that video, you can view it in the Town Square section of our website, njcatholic.org. So to get started, Kimberly, I have your bio, which I'll read in just a moment. After that, I'm hoping you can elaborate on your own personal experience when it comes to fostering and adoption, which, when combined with your education, background, and training in the Catholic Church, really tells the full story, I think, of Springs of Love and why it is so important to you. So, Dr. Kimberly Henkel is co-founder of Springs in the Desert, as I mentioned, ministry that is dedicated to spiritually and emotionally accompanying those struggling with infertility and loss. Kimberly holds a PhD in moral theology and ethics with a focus in bioethics from the Catholic University of America. She was the former executive vice president of the National Pro-Life Action Center on Capitol Hill and has appeared on the Catholic Doctors Radio Show, Fox News, C-SPAN, CNN, and RNN TV. She studied bioethics in Rome at the Regina Apostolorum and earned a master's degree in theology from the Pontifical John Paul II Institute for Studies on Marriage and Family. Kimberly and her husband of 14 years, Greg, live in a small town in Ohio. And now for the fun part. Maybe you can fill in the blanks by talking about, your personal experiences, which really led to the creation of Springs of Love.
Yes. Okay. Well, I know when you read that, I'm just like, oh, all a gift. Like it's all a gift. I would never have imagined this would be my life at all. I was raised with no faith at all and had this big conversion in my late 20s. And that just led me, like God has just been leading and guiding. And, it's beautiful. Like when you say all of that, I just think of like how God has led me each step of the way through the sufferings and the struggles to like the path that he has for me and the way he called me. And it's like this beautiful, mosaic. But so yeah, all of that, like I just feel like my education was a total gift. It was such a beautiful experience at the JP2 Institute. And that is where I met my husband, and we both just had this passion to like tell the world about the beauties of the church's teachings on theology of the body and all of these things, and that just kind of propelled me on to go get a doctorate, just because I was so excited and fascinated by what I was learning. I didn't really know what I would do with that doctorate, but I just sort of I just felt like that was the next step. But I was giving a lot of talks and a lot of talks about the problems of artificial reproductive technologies. That was sort of one of my focal points. And then lo and behold, I get married and struggle with infertility. I did not think that was going to be an issue at all. And my husband and I here, getting married after the JP2 Institute, thinking we're going to have a big family. And then it just nothing, no pregnancies ever. We never were able to have a pregnancy. And just going through that struggle and, the questioning, God, I'm trying to serve you, like, you're not going to give us a baby, like begging him, like we would love to have children. And, was this your calling? I mean, it makes you question everything. And then just feeling so isolated. I was, we had moved to this small little town in Ohio with just it's all like lots of people get married when they're very young and have lots of children. And we just sat there in the parish feeling like we're the only couple here with no children.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult. And so, as time went on, we began to sort of pray, where are you leading us? You have a plan for us. We know you have a plan for us. Where are you leading us? And so I started feeling that call to open up to foster. And I know that is very scary. I mean, we thought about just going through adoption, but we visited a few agencies, and the expense was very overwhelming to us. And it just felt like a competition for the baby. I mean, it was just like all these couples, and then you make this book about yourself, and it's like you're trying to sell yourself
Yeah.
to a birth mother. And I don't know, I started learning more about the children in foster care who had nobody,
Yeah.
and realizing there are thousands, there are over 400,000 children in foster care in our country. And there are thousands of children already ready to be adopted.
Mhm.
And we didn't, I hadn't heard anything about this. This was just my own research. So I began looking more into that, and talking to my husband, and just like, could we maybe go this route? I kind of feel like maybe God is calling us in this direction. And he was hesitant. A lot of husbands are kind of hesitant for this. I mean, he's like the protector of the family, and he's thinking, oh my gosh, you're going to get your heart shattered if we do this.
Yeah.
But it's something that, I think we kept praying about it. I was like, let's just go through the classes. Like, let's just go and take the classes. So we went ahead and signed up, and we went through the classes. And after the classes were over, I mean, that really opened our eyes to the serious crisis right now. There is such a need for good, loving homes for these children who are modern day orphans. They are the children that are forgotten. So many people think, oh, the government's taking care of them. The government cannot take care, the government cannot provide love and connection for a child. They can try to find as many families as possible, but I noticed it in the Catholic circles, in many Catholic, I never heard anything about fostering. Nothing. I don't know anybody who's fostering in the Catholic world. I mean, I didn't know anybody. We were the only people that I knew. And I was like, why is nobody talking about this? And so yeah, we really became like convicted, like this is a real problem, and this is an area where we can serve. So we said yes. And now there in our state in Ohio, you can say that you want to foster to adopt. So they basically are trying to find situations that will end up with a good possibility of adoption. But it doesn't always work out that way, because the primary goal of fostering is reunification with the birth family. Because, and that has taken me a while to really understand. In the beginning, I was like comparing myself with like the situation that this child was in. And when you put them side by side, you're like, well, clearly we are the better option for this child. But I came to see that, what, every child deserves to be with, I mean, every parent deserves to have their children. They should, like, that is a beautiful gift to a family. And a lot of times I think God, we sometimes will say, how did God allow this pregnancy to occur? This woman is like addicted to drugs, whatever the situation, in a horrible abusive relationship. Well, God uses everything, right? He's constantly wooing us, trying to get our attention. And so many women in a situation like this, they finally have the strength to leave the abusive relationship, to get off the drugs, to better themselves for their child. And so wouldn't that be beautiful if, as a Catholic community, we could get behind that goal and try to help be a support to a birth family who's in danger of losing their children. Maybe they just need like some good role models, some mentors in their lives, and hope that they can have a different life, right? So that was a new aspect that kind of opened up to me. But we got the phone call for our little son Anthony, and and it was scary the first time. They call us, they're like, we have a baby, he's going to be born in a few days, do you want him? And it's like, oh my gosh, like, here it is,
Yeah.
here's the question. And so we said yes. We felt like, yes, this is. And we stepped, it was like fear and trembling. We didn't know like what was going to happen, but we brought that baby home from the hospital, and it was just a wonderful experience. Like, all of our family and friends, they all came and like brought us gifts, and because we had nothing and we had a baby coming in a few days. And everybody just celebrated his life the way that he deserved to be celebrated. We were celebrating this new baby.
Yeah.
And I just, rocking him and being with him, I just realized that I was taking care of God's child. This was God's baby. There was this part of me that was like, let us keep him, let us keep him. But it was also like, okay, Lord, I'm going to trust that you have a beautiful plan for this child. And right now I'm giving him absolutely everything he needs. He needs to attach. He needs to be loved. He needs to be completely like the center of the world, and his birth mother could work on getting better
Yeah.
and be in a position to take care of him. So in the end, we ended up being able to adopt Anthony, which was a great joy for us. But, it was not without sadness, because we knew that his birth mother was losing him.
Yeah.
So there was this, there's always this brokenness at the beginning of an adoption story.
Yeah.
The child can't be with his birth mother, who just carried him in her womb for 9 months, that he's attached to, and knows her voice, and knows the sounds around him and all of that. And so there's a sadness to that, but there's also obviously this joy of adoption. And so anyway, I'm sorry, I'm very, how
No,
much.
that's exactly really what I wanted to get at was, this clearly is a passion for you. And so, you know, that just, I think, makes you better at your job, because you don't see it as work, right? You see it as doing something you love. So, talking about your passion and hearing your personal story really, I think, lends to the credibility and the need for organizations like Springs of Love. So, but on that topic, maybe you could just tell us. I could read it, but I think it would be better coming from you. What does Springs of Love do?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, the amazing thing is we ended up adopting 3 more children after Anthony. So we have 4 little kids, which is just a miracle. And the three oldest are only 5 months apart. So we we have Anthony, and then we had
Yeah,
twin girls who are only 5 months younger. So it's basically like having triplets. And
yeah,
then we have John Paul, who's 4.
okay,
And so anyway, that's been an amazing gift. But again, I just felt like we need a supportive community for people in the church. We need to encourage wonderful people. There's so many wonderful people, and they don't know how to help. And what an amazing way to help in the pro-life movement. I mean, after the Dobbs decision, it's like, okay, what now? Well, let's help with adoption, fostering and adoption. Like, all these children in foster care, languishing in foster care, who have nobody at all. I mean, I was the other day at the grocery store, and I met this young lady, and I just asked how she was doing, and she told me, I'm not doing very well. And she said, I just aged out of foster care 3 days ago.
wow,
And she said, I just returned to my birth mother. Well, my mother, she's like, I just returned home. And yeah, my mom's been using, and, she hasn't been paying the bills. There was no power. And we just got in a big fight. And I don't really know what to do. I mean, I was like, okay, like, give me your number, give me your information. Like, I want to be a support to you. Um, you know, like, I just, like, people need to step up and like take these children under our wings and
yeah,
help encourage them and mentor them and give them hope and check up on them and show them love, right? So anyway, yeah, Springs of Love started just as a passion, to really spread the beauty and joy with the struggle, right? There's nothing in this life without the cross. But of fostering and adopting, and to really encourage more people to consider it, to think about it. And then also to help encourage our parishes to see ways that they can get involved in alleviating this foster care crisis. Really, the church is the solution to all of this brokenness. I mean, these children who age out of foster care have a much higher chance of, drug addiction, incarceration, pregnancy, out of wedlock, repeating the cycles, suicides. It's heartbreaking, because just imagine when you were 18,
Yeah.
Graduating from high school and having nothing, having no support, nobody to come home to, nobody checking up on you. So we just want to, so right now what we're doing is we're trying to bring a lot of awareness to National Foster Care Awareness Month in May. And we are putting together a package for dioceses to be able to put something up on their website about this, to have a section of their website devoted to fostering and adoption, and to really talk about ways that our parishes can get involved. And it doesn't have to be super complicated. What we're doing here in the Columbus Diocese is we're hosting a big awareness night, and it's called A Family for Every Child. And we're just inviting people to come. We're going to have a meal provided. We're going to talk about the foster care crisis and ways that a parish can get involved. It's very basically, a parish can call their local foster care agency, just find out what the needs are in their community. They can host a little event, having the foster care people come and talk. They can put an ad in their bulletin, say, are there any foster families or adoptive families in our parish? And then get to know these families. Like, how can we support you? Foster families need prayer. First and foremost, they need prayer. They need somebody to check up on them. Like, what are your needs? Maybe we could provide a meal train for them. Provide a meal once a week to a family who's fostering, who's running around for appointment to appointment, and birth parent visits and things like that. We can support them. Maybe if you have a little more availability, maybe you could do respite care, and you just get a child for, a weekend or a few days at a time, or even a few hours at a time, to give a foster family a break. Maybe you can, allow a date night for a couple and say, we'll take care of your children. Or maybe a parish could host like an event for kids, so their parents can go, have a date night, and they host the children and they just love on the kids. Maybe they can do a backpack drive and give backpacks to the children, or little sensory stuffed animals. There's this great little bunny called the Xander bunny that this company up in Michigan, every time you buy one, they give one to a child in foster care. And like, they'll send you a shipment of these bunnies, and you can stuff them with like these little Michigan cherry pits and lavender, and they smell good, and they feel, they're real comforting for a child who's experienced trauma, which all of these children have experienced trauma.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to provide resources so that the parishes can do this, and that we can support and nurture families who are doing this.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I was getting at. It sounds like you have a ton of resources. We'll put all of the contact information on a slide at the end of the video. So people who are interested in, connecting you with parishes, or getting connected to you personally, they'll have all that contact information. And I suppose the resources for the parishes would be found on the website as well.
They're not up yet. We are still in the process of putting those together and getting ready to send them out. We want to do a big social media campaign for May, and to equip the dioceses to have social, media ads to be able to use. So yeah, we're still putting together resources. One of the things that we've already done, which has been very, very fruitful, is we are creating a video series. So we've created 3 videos so far, professionally produced, really beautiful videos. And these are something that you can show if you want to host a little awareness event at your parish or for your diocese. You can just take, get one of the videos from our website at springsoflove.org. And you can show that video, and then bring somebody who has who works in the local foster care agency to talk about the needs in your community. and you just find out about the children in your own backyard that you can help.
Yeah.
But these videos, remarkably enough, EWTN On Demand has just put our videos up on their on demand website and their app, and Formed is going to be carrying them as well. So that is a big initiative right now, is to create more videos telling the stories of children, of people who are fostering, for those who have been in the foster system for they've grown up already, and for those who have adopted as well, and birth mothers, and we've produced some more that we're in the process of editing. So we just trying to really show all the different angles of
Yeah.
fostering and adopting, and how can we understand it better. How do we understand these birth mothers who need support after they've chosen life for their child,
Yeah.
and they're left bereft and heartbroken that their child is not with them anymore? We need to be offering retreats for birth mothers. Like, there's so many different things that so anyway, if anybody wants to volunteer with me, I could use the assistance. We're growing quicker than I can work, because I'm homeschooling my four little ones, and only able to do so much. But just trying to build the team to really get these resources out. And I would love it if we could have a Springs of Love foster and adoption support group in every parish,
Yeah.
so that there's adoptive families who feel kind of lost. And wouldn't that be beautiful to have a group that would meet once a month in a parish to support adoptive families as they go through different challenges as their kids get older and they're trying to come to terms with being adopted and all of that.
Yeah.
So there's lots of different areas here that I am just very excited to work on. And if I need the people. I'm like, Jesus, bring the workers to help me develop this.
Well, that's a great problem to have. What I'd like to do is, before we wrap up, invite you to come back in 6 months, and maybe you can give us an update on, since the timing will be a little bit off for, when you're launching that campaign. So maybe you can come back and give us an update on how effective that was, and how it
Okay,
helped you raise awareness, and just gives another opportunity to chat and help build awareness, on our end as well.
wonderful. Thank you.
So before we wrap up, I just want to ask you, you know, just closing remarks. If you were in a church in front of a couple hundred pastors, and you had the opportunity to really tell them, why Springs of Love is so important, what would you say?
Well, Jesus told us to take care of widows and orphans in their distress. This is a mandate directly from Jesus. The modern day orphans in our country are the ones in foster care, the children who are languishing in foster care. We have a responsibility, a God-given mandate to care for these children. Everybody can do something, everybody. So I'm just trying to encourage each parish to do one thing this year, do one thing for the children in foster care, do one thing, maybe support a foster family. You can mow their lawn. Somebody who's fostering, you can mow their lawn. You can make them a meal. You can offer to mentor a child who is, older and has nobody. You can, have coffee. Yeah, just like have coffee once a week or once a month, or check up on an older child, or a child who's maybe about to age out of the system, who just needs some connection. um, you can help on the back end with planning an event, if that's your skill set. So God has given each one of us gifts and experiences in our lives, and he wants us to use those. And so really pray about, what are my gifts and what could I do for a child,
Yeah.
who needs a vulnerable child who needs me.
Well, Dr. Kimberly Henkel, from Springs of Love, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you today. We wish you all the best for future success with the organization, and would ask that we connect again in 6 months and see how things are going.
Sounds great. Thank you.